Hi, and welcome to another edition of Marti's Home Cooking. Today we're going to make chicken and leek pot pie. We're going to start off with making a base for our sauce so it adds a really robust, rich flavor. And what I did was I combined an old chicken gravy recipe or turkey gravy recipe made with chicken wings and some carrots, red onions, celery, sage, and parsley, and a little salt and pepper. And I baked it in the oven for a couple of hours, and you can see that I've deboned it and I've kind of kept all my little brown bits and scraped them up on the bottom of my pan. And we're going to add a little bit of vermouth to that and a little flour, and then that'll give us a nice thick base for our sauce in our pot pie. Okay, we're back, and you can see that I've got some nice browning going on here with my vegetables. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to deglaze the pan with the vermouth, and we're going to scrape up all those bits. And as you can see on my stove, I'm boiling my potatoes also for the ingredients in the pot pie. Put some vegetables, carrots, peas. You can put anything you want really in the pot pie. The main ingredients are the chicken and the leeks. So you can see that nice rich gravy that I've got going here. And what we're going to do with this, once I have all the brown bits up off of the pan, is we're going to strain it, because you don't want all those chunks of vegetables and things in the gravy. You just want the flavor. I have a 1810 steel pan that works either on the stovetop or in the oven, and that's really a nice thing to have, because for obvious reasons the temperature in the oven is much hotter than your stovetop, and when you want to have something cooked in the same pan for the flavor purposes, you really want to use something that is versatile enough to go either in or on top of your range top. Okay, turn that off for right now. And we're going to just bring that right in there. Now I did remove some of the fat with a paper towel, separating it a little bit so that the gravy doesn't have all the fat in it from the chicken wings. Now we just press through there so that you're pressing all the juices from the vegetables and everything else, the herbs, out into your bowl. You want to spend a little time doing this because there's so much flavor in it. Just when you think you wouldn't get any more liquid out of it, there's always a little. Just set that there. But here you go. Here's all our nice, clean liquid flavor. So we're going to add that in a little while to our whole recipe with all our vegetables and everything in it once we make a little bit of a sauce going. Okay, we're back, and I just wanted to give you a tip on washing your leeks. The easy way to do it is to cut them in half, and then you can wash the sand out of each layer, because leeks do have a little bit of sand in them, and you don't want that in your dinner. It's not friendly. So when we cut up our leeks, you just cut them up in just some small sections. Just as I'm doing here. And you want to make sure you don't cut your fingers. When you get close to the end. It pays to have a sharp knife. They just kind of cut through these things pretty easily. There we go. And one last one. I've already diced up some of my thyme because we're going to saute the leeks in 1 tablespoon of butter. And I'm doubling this recipe, so I'm just going to give you the single measurements. So I have actually 2 tablespoons of butter in my pan. And these are very handy. They are an herb keeper. I just add a little wet paper towel in the bottom with some water, and it keeps herbs, fresh herbs, in your refrigerator for weeks, depending on the herb, but they're wonderful. I recommend them highly. There's nothing like fresh herbs in your cooking. So here we go. Let's turn this back on, get the butter a little warm. I'm using the same pan I roasted all those chicken wings in, so that I'm using up even more of the flavoring. Okay, our pan is hot, and we're just going to add the leeks in here. Okay, we have added our leeks and our thyme to our pan so that they can saute for about 5 or 6 minutes or so. You just want them to saute till they're soft. And then we will add our other ingredients. We'll be back. Okay, we're back after we sauteed our leeks with some thyme, and I also added a tablespoon of sage. So we're just going to add that to our chicken because we're going to melt the butter in the pan again and work our gravy using the same pan, so we still have all those flavors still going on. So as you can see, I did double the recipe. I have quite a bit of chicken here. This is all going to just be tossed together and thrown into the tray with all the other ingredients, and then topped off with a nice pie crust. So I'm going to add another tablespoon of butter. And we just melt our butter in the pan, scraping up any other brown bits that may have occurred from the browning of the leeks. And actually, I'm going to add a little bit more butter because I am doubling the recipe. It is unsalted butter. There we go. Need to get a little more flour. So I have 1/4 a cup of flour since I'm doubling it. And what I did with the bold flavor of the condensed chicken flavor that I did with the chicken wings is I added that to almost 4 cups, 3.5 cups of chicken broth. So combined, I wanted a total of 3.5 cups of chicken broth. So you can see the richer flavor or the richer color of this chicken broth with the condensed bold flavor that I did with the chicken wings, just for a more intense flavor. Okay, a lot of those will come off with the gravy, but we're going to add our flour, and we're going to add a little bit of salt. And a little bit of pepper. And then we just stir that all up, make a nice thick sauce. When you add the flour to the butter and you cook off the flour flavor, I guess you could say, a little bit with the butter, you will never have lumpy gravy. As you can see, this is the consistency of my butter and flour. Just cook it for a few more seconds, and then I'll add my liquid. Just add it slowly. There we go. And we are also going to add to this gravy a little bit of Dijon mustard. 2 teaspoons, thereabouts. You don't have to be completely accurate. If you don't like as heavy of a mustard flavor, then just add a little less. Sometimes to mix the mustard in, you got to get a little whisk going. And then that just cooks down a little bit till it gets thick, and then we toss all our other ingredients in. While I was away on the break, I did blanch some carrots for our dish, so they're semi-cooked and they won't be as hard when they're cooking in the oven if they were just raw. And then we'll also add some peas and the potatoes. So we'll be back. Okay, back to our chicken. A tip is that I usually go to like Sam's Club or Walmart or something where they have rotisserie chickens already cooked, and I like to just debone them and then put them in different baggies for the freezer so that I have ready cooked chicken. And a lot of times when I use these types of recipes, I will already have some chicken on hand and it's already cooked. So I have 1.5 of the chickens in this bowl just for my recipe size, but all you really need is like 2 or 3 chicken breasts, or if you like some dark meat in there, then you could add whatever combination works for you. But just thought I'd add that little tip. Okay, we're back. This has gotten somewhat thicker with the flour added to it, and you can see it's a nice golden color. And our recipe also calls for 1/4 cup of cream. I'm doubling it, so I have 1/2 cup. And stir that in. This dinner is a special dinner we're making for my husband's sister for her birthday. We're combining it with her dessert, the tiramisu. So if you haven't seen that video, you might want to check the tiramisu out. And we're going to just let that cool off a little bit before we mix it all together and put it in our pan. So we'll be back. Okay, we're back, and we've got our gravy all cooled off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix everything together. I'm going to throw some carrots in there and some potatoes and a few frozen peas. There we go. And now we're just going to mix that all together. Kind of toss it gently with the gravy. So everything gets coated. Here we go. Now we're going to put it in our pan. I have sprayed the pan with some olive oil. And get all that good gravy in there too. And your oven should be preheating up to 400 degrees. Now if you really like a special touch on top of this, you could use the pastry puff. Those are really pretty good too. You can find those in your frozen food section in the grocery store. And there we have it, our filling. And here I have a pie crust already sectioned out so that it fits my pan. You can also, for a single recipe, you could put it in a pie-shaped pan. But we're just going to put our crust right over here like so. Fold that over a little bit. Pat it down. And then for a little bit extra edging on the crust, I have my extra pieces right in here. Just so the edge doesn't burn up so quickly in the cooking part. Because you want to serve this when it is just bubbling. And then I usually give it a little bit of air when it cooks. And we just dust it with some, not dust it, but use a pastry brush and lightly put some egg on it. Helps in the browning stages. And there we have it. We're ready to pop it in the oven. Okay, just took it out of the oven, and as you can see, it's still bubbling a little bit on the sides, and it's nice and golden brown. Looks delicious. So we're almost ready for our guests to show up, and we're going to have a great time. Thanks for watching. Have a blessed day.